All right. Good evening, everyone. So we're starting a little bit late. Thank you for joining us for the June 25th, 2025 council meeting. I'll call it to order. Will you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. City Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilmember Burris. Present. Councilmember Douglas.
Present.
Councilmember Hilberg.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem McCauley. Mayor Loman.
Here. Thank you. And can I get a motion to approve the agenda order?
Move approval of the agenda order. Aye.
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 Nays? And item 1E, statement of conflict of interest. Do we have any new conflicts of interest amongst us?
No change.
Nothing?
No
changes?
change.
Great. Move on to item 2, the consent calendar. All items on the consent calendar are considered routine in nature and will be approved by one blanket motion with a council vote unless a council member or member of the public requests an item be pulled from the consent for discussion. Items pulled will be addressed after council completes the consent calendar vote and will require a separate motion. Are there any items that council or the public would like to pull from the consent calendar? No? All right. Seeing none, may I have a motion to approve the agenda order?
Motion to approve the consent calendar.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Staying opposed? All right. We'll move on to item 3, agency reports. Placer County Sheriff.
Good afternoon, Sergeant Williams, Placer County Sheriff's Office. How are you all doing today? Good, good. Nothing too much to report. We're still obviously working with folks for the 3rd of July. Things are coming to a head as far as our plans go. So looking forward to that. We had 2 relatively major incidents at Colfax this last week. We had, unfortunately, that head-on collision on Interstate 80. It's still under investigation. We're still trying to identify the folks that were involved in that. It appears, but it's not confirmed that alcohol was involved, but we have to wait a bit for some toxicology reports to come back. We had about the same day, if not the next, we had a very similar incident with a wrong way driver. That turned out to be a guy from out of town who stole a Mustang. Who was arrested for such and burglarized a couple of homes here. And we were able to tie him to that. So he's in jail now, awaiting his time in court. And then a couple of my deputies from Colfax assisted with the the recovery of the 3 drownings up in Soda Springs area. So now those families have at least a little bit of closure there. So that's all I got.
How's the semi driver?
As far as I know, he was relatively uninjured physically. So
Mind-boggling, seeing the vehicle.
yes, for sure. Absolutely.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Nobody CHP tonight, CAL FIRE.
Good evening, Clint Sievert, Battalion Chief, Placer County Fire, CAL FIRE. We did have the significant incidents this week. I was on them as well. And we had the residential structure fire, which is just downtown here. And crews were out prepping Mount Howell for a possible governor's visit, which didn't happen, but that's where the local crews were. We did have an engine backfilling at the station. So we actually had 3 engines right there, which was good. And we had a quick stop and the fire was contained to just the shop itself with no damage to the residents. So that was really good. We are preparing for the 3rd of July. We have the IAP built along with a side-by-side secured from our local crews. We will be up staffing this year. So we have the extra resources like we talked about last meeting, but we will have at least 2 that are on that side-by-side roaming for medical patrol. With getting everything prepared for the fireworks show. With that, I have contacted UP back and forth for the last 3 weeks, and we finally have secured one of their field crews coming out Friday. So they're gonna come out, I'm gonna meet them. We're gonna go over the project of hopefully clearing out that plot of land that they have to avoid incidents like we had in the past and move forward with some field treatment. So that should be good. And then we have been working with Unified Command Training today with Placer County Sheriffs, and that went hand in hand with the fire that we had today off Bell. That's just to secure some evac warnings and orders and work with our local cooperators and make sure we're prepared for fire season. We are moving, or we have moved into the burn ban, which started last Monday. That's for residential burns. Those are banned now that we're in official fire season. You can still apply, like we have talked about, for the LE5 and LE7s to burn larger piles on your property. Any questions for us?
Just before you go, I want to give a special thanks to Clinton. Our boxes are full of flowers in the outdoor dining area, watered while we're working on an irrigation system. So thank you so much for all your help for that.
You're welcome. And they should be down this afternoon to continue that.
Yeah.
So they'll be down here. One
Yeah.
one item I didn't cover is we did reach out to the planner's office about the Colfax Hotel because they didn't have the door that was open on the second story. I reached out to what I thought was the possible owner with no luck. And then we went around to the county code enforcement and they are reaching out now and seeing if they can move forward with some of that.
Excellent.
Yep. Thank you.
And while I'm giving the big shout outs, I'll
Thank
go
you.
ahead and cover a couple more real quick. Special thanks to Caroline and her family from Railroad Days for picking up the planters and readying them for the plants. Special thanks to the Garden Club for planting the flowers in the flower beds. Special thanks to Caroline and her family from the wrecking crew for the decorations on the dining areas. And a special thanks to Jeff Wheeler, his son Jeff Jr., and his grandchildren Cannon, Kinsey, and Clayton for rehabbing the Main Street benches up and down Main Street. They're starting to look fantastic out there. That's all I have.
Thank you. Do we have any nonprofits here tonight? Come on up.
I had to run back to the bakery because I forgot my glasses and that was not happening without them. Okay, I wanted to give you guys an update on our 3rd of July activities. We now have 60 vendors, including 9 food trucks and 9 treat vendors. We've raised just over 6,000, made in 15 fundraising events, 7,300 in corporate donations, plus the 6,800 from the city. Thank you. We are looking at road closures at 9 a.m. Vendors are coming in at 10 a.m. And then I'd like to go through what we have on the schedule of events. So at 3 p.m., we're starting event starts. 4 to 7, the say that again. Malarkey. Jeez. In the beer garden. The Little Patriots Parade starts at 6, and then the Lions Club Parade starts at 7, 9:15-ish fireworks. And then during the day, we do have in the kids zone, we are having from 3:30 to 5 p.m. From 4 at we will have a hot dog eating contest. Starting at 5 in 3 different age groups, we have a pie eating contest. And then at 8 p.m., right around there, we're going to have a seed spitting contest. So that ought to be fun. So we met our goal for our fundraising, and we owe a lot of thanks to a few people. And if I can find it, I'll tell you who those people are. And I'm sure Caroline told me. I was looking for the fundraiser. Well, no, I was going to thank a few people. I know that Key Salon raised a lot of money in the 2 car washes we did. And, oh, here we go. So Key Salon raised with 2 car washes, we raised 724 in one. And right close to, I think it was 12 to 1,400? 14 on the first one. And then we had Zumba at 465. We had the Beach Hut and Colfax at $263. And I think we did 2 fundraisers with them. And we had California Shaved Ice at the picnic at the park here at 150. Drewski's at the same event for 160. And I think we had 2 Pizza Factory fundraisers and that we hit $1,000 or $100 with them. And then with Dine and Dash, we had $260 and El Tapatio. We had 500 and I think we did 2 with them too. TJ's, we hit 578. And with the soup cook-off down at the Wrecking Crew, we had $550. Coyote Pizza, we ended up with 200. And the Wrecking Crew donation can, we had 191. And then Marvel donation can, we had $214.
That's gone up about 140 because they just picked that up, so.
Okay, so we're about what, 350 there? Okay, so and then the big corporates, I'm not sure exactly which ones we had there, but I know there are a few. I know one was Simpson and Simpson, one is G&T, one was Frontier, right, if I'm correct? Yeah.
Yeah, you have Frontier gave us $1,500. Pioneer. The Chicago Park Store gave us 300. Fitness for Life was 500. Meadow Vista Vet was 1,500. Simpson and Simpson was 1,500. G&T was 500 and Hills Flat was 500.
Yeah, so with all of the generous donations and the fundraising, we've reached our goal. And we're pretty happy about that. And now we're just finalizing the last bits and touches and looking forward to the event. Okay,
Just a comment, that's awesome fundraising.
yeah, we worked our butts
The-
off.
I should know the answer to this. Is there a July 3rd nonprofit?
Not as of yet. We will be working on that for next year. And we will probably all be working on the same event, so I
Okay.
will definitely be involved.
All right, thank you.
Hopefully take a little bit of the weight off of Caroline because she did way more than she was supposed to this year, but she actually taught us a lot, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for all your hard work on this and thanks to all the businesses and people that donated to make this possible. That's awesome. All right, do we have any other nonprofits? Right, nope. All right. We don't have any presentations or public hearings tonight, so we'll open the floor for public comment. Every resident has the opportunity to address the council for comment. When public comment time is called, you may speak to council on items not on the agenda. The council cannot act on these items. However, the items will automatically be referred to staff. Please come to the podium and you'll have 5 minutes.
Apologies in
Thank you.
advance for my very noisy children who everyone can clearly hear and they think they can't hear them.
You're good. It
Do they
happens.
want to speak before me, you think?
Good night.
I want to, might not be a good idea though.
Oh, okay. Hi, Robert Dugan, you know me, I'm the CEO of the California Construction Industrial Materials Association, Placer County resident down in Roseville, but I'm here on behalf of all of our members that are really excited about the progress on the skate park. I know it's not on tonight's agenda, but I was headed up here anyway, so I thought I'd come by and just congratulate the city and you know, the town rather, and the whole council and all the work that's being done. I know there's a few more Ts to cross and Is to dot, but we're that close. I spent time with a bunch of our producers on Monday, reaffirming commitments for all the material that they're going to donate that has significantly reduced the cost. So they're all excited and kick it out to bid and I just wanted to come up and say thank you and congratulate you for keeping that project on track. Of all the projects I work on, there is no more worthy community and worthy children, right, than right here for us to make that kind of a commitment and that kind of an investment. So, and as you know, I love Colfax, so. And yes, Josh knows I'm here for those that wonder. I always let him know when I come up in his neck of the woods. So thank you, Mayor, Council. Just wanted to come up and say hi and thank you.
And thank you too for all your work and support on this project. You've really helped us get a long way on this. Right. Harry, how's it going?
Good evening. First of all, I want to congratulate Caroline on doing a fantastic job of representing historic downtown Colfax. She missed her calling. She was good on television. For those of you that saw it, she was very, very good. And I had a chance to speak with Cody, the gentleman who was doing all the filming, and very interesting fellow. Had great talks with him. He loved our town. And what he could not understand is why is it such a secret to find downtown Colfax? And so here yet again, we're talking about no representation to get downtown. And I have a suggestion, which I usually try to offset my complaint, because people have complained about the size of the roundabout sign. Why don't we just take that thing and move it down to Mountain Village, that piece of dirt that we're all arguing about, and put an arrow on the damn thing and have it aim? It's that simple. It's that simple. Don't have to spend any more money except to buy a couple pieces of wood, two 4x4s, and you're done. And that's it. And so now you can get the bigger sign that everybody wants, and everybody will be happy. I went to the Auburn City Council meeting the other night. That was interesting. The biggest topic was empty commercial buildings, which I find kind of interesting because if you drive in there downtown, there's not a whole lot of empty anything. But what they were proposing was penalizing empty businesses, the owners, for not filling the locations. Interestingly enough, 3 of the 5 members, council members, voted no. They felt that that would be the worst thing they could do, would be to penalize a business who's already struggling. And as I said, I don't think if you're a property owner, business owner, I don't think you want it to be open and empty. I really don't think that's your goal unless you need a huge write-off. Other than that, I don't think there's a lot of those people. And I was just surprised that as empty as we are in comparison to them, and they're focused on trying to fill, that having a council, as I think we talked about, having people try to promote Colfax from a marketing point of view, I think is not only necessary, but should be put on the burner for first. Now that we're in the season, we're gonna have 5,000 people here, like we had that last year at the 4th or the 3rd of July. We should take advantage of that and try to promote the town for business. And Ron, did you get a hold of Caltrans? Well, the reason why I asked is because they were out surveying at the intersection by Mountain Village, and I thought, hallelujah. Yeah, but I don't know what that's all about, but they were surveying, and it was nice to see that they were actually out there considering our traffic situation. But anyway, but again, the kudos to you. That was really, really good. And the gentleman fed off of you perfect. I mean, it was just amazing. I listened to it before I came to the meeting tonight, and I was just like, wow. So be interesting to see how many strange people we have in Colfax all of a sudden in the next couple of days. Thank you.
Thank you. Tom?
Tom Parnham, I'm a resident. First of all, I wanted to thank you all for your service to the community. I was here 2 weeks ago talking about my concerns with the hotel, and before the meeting, I was told that, they are moving on that and inspecting the hotel for, adequate sprinklers and whatnot. That aside, I still like to see some construction happening to that hotel. to every meeting and say the same thing. I was thing happening. I know you're limited in what you can do, but Kim mentioned during the good of the order last time about a ordinance, and not abandoned businesses, but how about abandoned buildings, you know? Something to, you know, make something happen. I mean, it is a fire hazard, and it's a cool building, but it's kind of an eyesore. And I wish we could do something about that. Will just asked me to go down to the sewer plant and take photos of the new solar panels, and I'd like to do that tomorrow if that's possible. All right, and let's see, what else? I didn't put the initials in the new sidewalk. Somebody else did that. And the dog prints are a nice touch also. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
In regards to the hotel, strangely as enough as it is, I actually spoke to the owner who owns that thing, who was at the time, he called me from Amsterdam because I'm selling for my neighbor their antique watershed. It was moved from Alta or something, God, 50 years ago down to their property, and they were going to demolish it. And I found them a customer, and so now these people are going to come and take it. And it just so happens to be, it's the people that own the hotel. So it was a very interesting conversation, needless to say. And what it kind of seems like is there's a standoff between the city and them. So I don't know, he didn't go into graphic detail, but apparently it sounds like there's some kind of a situation. So whether it's BS or truth, all I know is that's what I heard. And they have other successful businesses apparently in Forest Hill. So I don't know other than that, but to answer your question, yeah, it is an eyesore, but maybe we got to come to the table and get it handled. But that's what I've just found out.
Thanks for sharing.
Well, seeing as how Harry brought up the Good Day Sacramento, Channel 31 did come up yesterday and did a piece on the wrecking crew. He fell in love with Colfax, and he will be back up here to do a segment on the downtown area, the whole downtown area. And he will be here for our 3rd of July to enter into the pie eating contest. And he will be back up at the end of October to interview the Bunko Babes. But most importantly, he will be back to do a segment on downtown Colfax. And because we did express that we're trying to draw attention to the downtown area. So I hope we're excited about that. I'm hoping that he gets in touch with me about that soon, which I imagine he will because he got in touch with me pretty quick about the other stuff. So I'm looking forward to that one. And
Great.
he is a character, I tell you. He made it perfectly easy, and it was a great day. Good time with him. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. And I got to see the clip. You did a great job. It was awesome. Yeah. Please come up. Yeah. How's it going?
Hey, my name is Josh, and I just wanted to maybe introduce myself. And I've been coming to the city council meetings and just watching everything happen, and I think it's pretty cool. So I think to second what Tom said about respecting what you guys do and stuff like that. I just want to talk about that. I also have been working with the city planner and talking about the property on Whitcomb. That's a RM2 zoning. In terms of looking into it as a deed restricted affordable housing development. So I do like real estate investing on the side, and we've been talking a lot. And I looked at the general plan for Colfax, the housing element, before I just start sending emails, be open to working with developers on affordable housing projects and like applying to grants and stuff like that. And I don't know, I think that's something that could be kind of cool and help increase the housing inventory of Colfax. Because Because I think more housing is more businesses and more businesses is more housing and just the town can grow. So yeah, that's it for me. I noticed you had some different programs in terms of funding sources or impact fees or other stuff. And, you know, I looked at it as like just straight pure profit. And I think that the lot's been there for like years and no one really wants to take the chance to develop it. Because, you know, who knows why, maybe they don't believe in Colfax, but I think Colfax is really well positioned to do developments like this. I've looked at some other developments in Woodland and other small rural communities that have like basically use these loan programs and use this government funding to help increase their housing supply for all different types of housing. So yeah, that's kind of my spiel, and I hope maybe I can, you know, talk with you guys more in depth, maybe over email, and see if there's some sort of middle ground on that. So that's it for me.
I have a question. If you're going to be around after the meeting, I'd like to pick your brains some more. But when you say affordable housing, I feel like we've reached a point where it's almost become a misnomer because it means such a broad category of things to different people. So I was just curious if you had a quick sec, you could maybe elaborate on your definition and, you know, the concept that you have in mind.
Yeah, so I mean, affordable housing has, you know, Section 8, they renamed it, I think, because now it's Housing Choice Vote Voucher Program. And I think that there's a lot of different, yeah, it's a good question. I think one thing that was shocking to me is that I don't know what you guys pay for rent around here, but according to the government, the fair market rent for Colfax is $2,700 a month for a 3-2, which was shocking to me. So I think that there's affordable housing means so many things in terms of subsidized, you know, paying what's fair. I can talk more about it, but certain number of units being restricted to 30% of the max median income of the area, a certain number of units like that. So, but it would be a deed restriction. I think it mostly would just follow the government's definition of affordable housing. For example, since Colfax is actually in the transit district and it's a town that's less than 20,000 people, that's actually really prime for the USDA program because they like to develop in transit-oriented rural areas. And so I would be following their definition in order to apply to their loan program.
Well, that's fantastic. They're very generous.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if you're going to be around for a few minutes after the meeting, I'd love to chat.
Sweet, thank you.
Thank you. Your public comment tonight? Right. Good evening.
Hi, I'm Deborah Frankel. I'm a resident, and I've been to a number of meetings, and I have a request for something that hasn't really happened tonight, but it sometimes happens, and it's just aimed toward everybody who's up there, which is that lots of programs and lots of laws and lots of regulations have initials, and they turn into acronyms. And if people who are dealing on a regular basis with whatever that program or law is, know what the acronym stands for. But when you're talking about it to a general audience like this, sometimes we don't know. And sometimes I hear an acronym and I'm trying to figure out from the context what it might stand for. And while I'm trying to figure that out, the person is continuing to talk and I miss 2 or 3 sentences of what they are saying. So I'm just requesting that you all be mindful of that, and that even if it's a very familiar set of initials to you, that the first time you use it, you would just say the whole thing out, and then we'll know what you're talking about. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Any other public comment tonight? Nothing online? No. All right, we'll close public comment. And we'll move on to council and staff reports. Kim, you want to kick us off?
Okay, no official meetings, but I applaud you for going to the Auburn City Council meeting. I also did that. And I had a private conversation with one of those that voted in favor of. My goal is not to punish anybody, but it's to encourage them. And like former Mayor Tom Parnham said. It's the ones that are just absent, the buildings that have been empty for so long. Those are the ones we're trying to motivate. And so thank you for attending that meeting. And that's all.
I attended a Sierra Vista Center meeting where they elected a new board of directors. Kim and I have talked a little bit about scheduling a workshop prior to a July meeting to talk about Christmas time. And Trinity and I just met yesterday and talked about the committee that we're on, and I'll just defer to her, but that's it.
Thanks, Trinity.
Yeah, so me and Larry, we met to go over the MOU, work through a little bit of the language there. We did come up with a couple things we wanted to make sure we included in there. Connor, we'll end up sending you a draft that you're able to look over once we've kind of firmed that up. The intent at this point is that we want to get our initial draft done and then have the new board of the Sierra Vista Center appoint 2 people to meet with us so that we can kind of negotiate a little bit before we finalize the draft. We want to be respectful of so we want to make sure we give you something that's actually you have to, put in the work. But I'll make sure to send you a draft before we, really negotiate with them so that you're able to say, this needs to be there, this shouldn't be there, et cetera. And if there's anything that we should include before we open the conversation, that as well. Also had a PCTPA meeting earlier today.
Nobody knows.
It's okay. I'm sure it's something that's trying to disconnect and reconnect. So for PCTPA, the item relevant to Colfax today, I just wanted to be able to give the actual numbers. We did some reallocation of the bicycle pedestrian funds that go under LTF between us and the city of Roseville, so we could essentially trade for other funds that we need that have less restrictive use. So some of the funds for Bunch Creek Trail, we went ahead and transferred those over to City of Roseville to work on the Dry Creek Greenway Phase 2 project, which is more imminent. We're trying to make sure that we're balancing our projects and their timing so that when we're ready to proceed with our project, the funds can then be moved and be available. Like we've done many times before through PCTPA, and that's part of how we were able to get the roundabout in the first place was sort of that being good neighbors and other jurisdictions being willing to give us their portion of funds for a particular fiscal year. So what we did was we moved LTF funds over to Roseville, and then they allocated part of their apportionment back over to us. So in total, we gave them 70,000 in LTF funds that were bicycle pedestrian discretionary, and then 11,111 funds under LTF that were apportionment to Roseville. Then what we did was we reallocated $81,111 from their City of Roseville's less restrictive LTF over to the City of Colfax. So essentially it was a swap. So that'll give us the opportunity to use that in fiscal year 25-26. And they're able to use their funds during this fiscal year for the Dry Creek Trail. Hope that makes sense. I'm happy to answer any questions on that, but that was the only relevant item for me.
For my own education, what is LTF?
I'm gonna have to get back to you on that because this is one of those times where I've used acronyms so much that I've actually forgotten what the acronym actually stands for. Tom, do you happen to remember? No? LTF funds? I know. It is. It's like limited, Yeah, it's essentially, it's very restrictive funds that are used predominantly for limited transportation. And they do tend to be more focused towards bicycle pedestrian. That's why I keep bringing the bicycle pedestrian part up. They tend to be for more restrictive forms of transportation, or for commuter transit, things like that, rather than, streets and roads and more independent forms of broad transportation. Hopefully that helps, but I am gonna get back to you with that, and we'll announce what LTF is at the next meeting, because I apologize, that doesn't look good on my part.
If I may, LTF is Local Transportation Funds,
Thank you.
and PCTPA is Placer County Transportation Agency.
I like how I was like, that's such good.
Document full of acronyms, so I have all these pages that I can go back in and reference to. It's great. And just to backtrack, the MOU that Trinity was referring to had to do with the Sierra Vista Center. So that's.
Yeah, that's a
Yep.
memorandum of
Yeah, it's a
understanding.
Memorandum of understanding. It's just an agreement.
I figured that was from the last meeting and folks were here for that, so you probably knew what that one
Well,
was.
you never know who's listening. You never know who's listening. All right.
I should just.
It's okay. It's just been that kind of week. I am super excited to say I had a very light week in official meetings. That way all the attention could go other places. So I had SACOG, which is Sacramento Area Council of Governments, which is the 6 local counties. Most of their funding usually has to do with transportation and infrastructure. It was actually a tour of Sacramento County and all the work they have done right along Watt Avenue, what brought in all their car dealerships. And now I think there's a Ferrari or a Porsche over there now, if I recall correctly, if you want a high-end car. And then it was a tour of the new facility that used to be a Price Club down on Watt that they're turning into a huge, I can't call it a homeless shelter because they're building these little individual cabins for people to live in, but it's going to be a multi-purpose thing. They've got all kinds of stuff, including parking areas for RVs as well. And but it was a Price Club. And I was like, I remember this Price Club. It was kind of interesting, but it made me very blessed that we don't live in such a large area and have to worry about putting those in, but it was still an interesting tour to go on. And then I did have a meeting with the Placer Air District. Yeah, it wasn't really, there wasn't a whole lot going on that one. It was pretty quiet. And Larry, since you brought up the meeting, I know you guys have been trying to figure out a date to have our first, what do we call it? It's now been a month since you guys were on that. Happened very, very quickly. We are losing time and it makes a huge difference to be able to have vendors because they are already committing. Most people start 9 to 12 months. And so the longer we wait to get anything out there, you are going to lose vendors. So it has to become a priority amongst everything else if you want Winterfest to happen. So.
All right, thank you. I went on vacation after the last meeting, so I have nothing to report. City manager.
Right. The solar system at the wastewater treatment plant is now up and operational. So we're expecting large savings in power bill there. I've sent out a draft agreement to Adams Ashby to manage the city's community development block grants. They're the same people who's managed them the last 5 years, and through the vetting process, they ended up scoring the highest again this time. I will be attending, I think, Sean, the Placer County Water Agency's annual leadership meeting this Thursday and Friday out at Hellhole. I attended a agenda management software meeting. This new software will help streamline the agenda building process. And I attended a meeting with Jeremy Birch with Local 39 to discuss the employee union contract. The maintenance team has been busy continuing to work in the downtown cleanup and refreshing in preparation for the 3rd of July. They painted the metal trash can receptacles along Main Street, painted the benches in the Roy Tom area, painted the red curbing along Grass Valley Street to the railroad tracks, replaced faded street signs throughout the city, and performed some curb and sidewalk repairs throughout the city. And that's all I have.
All right, thank you very much. We'll move on to item 8, council business. Then we have 2 items. The first item tonight is acceptance Will you introduce this item?
And Jim Fletters may be available on Zoom to answer questions. Let's
Hey, Jim.
Hello.
The city entered into a construction grant agreement with the State Water Resource Control Board in 2021 for the construction of a solar field. Holt Renewables was the contractor awarded the design and build of the contract of a 429 kilowatt solar array. Although construction started in April of 22, the system was unable to be connected to PG&E, Pacific Gas and Electric, until a week or so ago because of issues with the local power station. Total cost of this project was $1.85 million and it's been reimbursed by the state. And I hope Jim's up there to answer any questions.
I am available. Can you hear me?
Are there any comments from the council? No? Any comments from the public? No? Go ahead.
We have a copy of the PTO letter, correct?
Yeah. Jim, did you hear that?
The PTO, what's the acronym? I don't know that one. PT.
Unmute the laptop.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, Jim, one sec. We're trying to get you off mute. I know you're off mute on Zoom, but you're on mute in the room, so we can't hear you.
Is that better? Can you hear me now?
We can hear you
Yeah.
now. Thanks, Jim.
You're welcome. So PTO, that's a PG&E term or something? I'm not sure.
Yeah, do we have a copy of the permission to operate letter?
I do not. I have not seen that. Basically, Holt Renewables met with PG&E. They've gone through everything. And PG&E told them they could turn it on, so they did. I don't have any documentation from PG&E at this time. I'll ask Holt
Thank you.
Renewables if they got it by chance.
Yeah, I know we need to take public comment, but after public comment, I want to very carefully phrase the motion.
All right. Any other questions, comments from the council? Open it up to the public. Any comments or questions from the public? No. All right, bring it back to council. It's a long time, Kevin. Glad we were able to get to this point and hopefully get that PTO letter and get everything verified and good to go. So I will open up for a motion for item 8A.
I'll move that we approve this resolution on the condition that we first, before issuing payment, receive a copy of the permission to operate letter from PG&E. Because until that letter is in our hands, we have no guarantee that we actually have permission to operate that system.
So I have a question.
Yes.
The PTO, is that something PG&E would give the design builder Holt Renewable, or is that something they should be issuing directly to the city?
They could do both. I know both contacts have been on the account the entire time. More than likely, they would have sent it to Holt as their primary contact. So Holt should have no problem sending it over if they've received word that we have, in fact, gotten permission to operate the system. But it should be a non-issue that can be sent over tomorrow. As long as that letter exists and it's executed, then there's no problem.
Okay, I'm
They should
reaching
be
out
able
to them now.
send it over. And if you're not able to get it from Holt, Jim, go ahead and give me a call and I'll make sure the right people are sending it to the right people.
Okay, I'll reach out to Ron and I'll discuss it with him.
Sounds great. So anyway, that's the motion on the table, is that payment will be issued once we receive the permission to operate letter. But other than that, I'm good with us approving the resolution.
And on the table is just to modify once that PTO letter is received.
Correct, yes. Effective the date of our receipt of the permission to operate letter.
Excellent.
I'll second that.
All right. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right. Opposed? Abstain? All right. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. All right, item 8B,
It is beneficial.
Yes. So our second item tonight, item 8B, is the fiscal year 2025-2026 sewer service charges. City manager, can you introduce this item as well?
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Unfortunately, Shanna is out at training and unable to attend, so I'll do my best to work through this. In May 2024, the city went out through the Prop 218 approval process to set a variable sewer rate ranging from 0 to 3% per year for a 5-year period. The 24-25 rate calculations have been provided in a staff report for your review. It is staff's recommendation that the city council approves a 0% sewer rate increase for the upcoming fiscal year. Staff are making this recommendation because of the power savings from the working solar system and the cost savings implemented by the new chief plant operator, Matt Anderson. It is also important to remember that an increase in the sewer rate can be implemented later in the fiscal year if needed. So we can always revisit this if we run short on cash.
I move that we not increase our funds for this coming year.
We gotta go through the
0.
process first, but
No, it's really exciting to be able to say that.
yes, so. All right. So I just gotta make a comment. A lot of hard work went into this, a lot of projects. There has made a real difference in how that plant's operating. I mean, you can drive into it and it smells fresh. Like you don't even smell sewage in there anymore. He's done such a good job operating that plant and having the backing of being able to actually fix equipment and upgrade stuff. It's made a big difference. And the solar project, we hope, is going to make a big enough difference that for future years, we won't have to raise rates too. So that hasn't even kicked in yet for this. So a lot of hard work went into this, a lot of planning, a lot of follow through on a lot of projects to be able to say that we don't have to raise sewer rates this year. So any other comments from council?
Just to add, it's historic for given our history here. This is fantastic.
It's been a while.
So my motion, unless somebody else has something to say. All right.
I definitely want to give a huge shout out to our plant operator, Matt Anderson. I've been out to the plant quite a few times in the last year and a half, and I have seen such a huge difference in how it's operating, and I've gotten an amazing education out of it. And the man knows his stuff and is such a huge asset to our community that the man has done out there. And I know he is working on actually being able to offer tours so you guys can go see how it works and all the details. And I love the fact that we have a council that has agreed to fix all of the problems that have been ignored and all the maintenance that has been deferred for so long. While it's costing us a whole lot to do that, Matt has saved us a lot of money at the same time. And it's definitely showing, and I'm excited to see it continues.
Yeah, I think I don't want to belabor it, but to Carolyn's point, I just have to say again, deferred maintenance is kicking the can down the road to your kids at 4 times to 10 times the rate. So, it's good. It's good that we're finally taking it seriously because deferred maintenance is what ultimately, if you had to pick one root cause, that's the core of what got us into trouble time and time again with our sewer plant. So I'm glad to see that the right priorities are there and we're trusting the people who know what they're doing to do their job. And we're coming in with questions out of a place of curiosity, not accusation. And, we're doing the right thing.
And just to add, it starts at the top with Ron.
Definitely.
He's showing his
I
expertise.
would just say it's a
here
team effort all the way from the chief plant operator, myself, to council and the community.
with your support and leadership. Yeah.
Definitely. All right. Any public comment?
Hopefully
I-
he's happy.
Yeah, I could have guessed, but yeah.
Tom Parnham, yeah, I mean, this is good news. We could lower the rates instead of just 0. An option, because I mean, how come it has to be 0 or go up 3%?
At this point, Tom, I'd say that we're
going down this well, we should go down. We got solar out there and everything else.
at this point, we're doing rate stabilization, trying to keep it from going up. And then we're going to go wholeheartedly into the deferred maintenance and fix everything that needs to be fixed before we consider lowering rates.
Well, yeah, and that's amazing because, you know, you are fixing the deferred maintenance and it's not costing us anything. So I'm very happy to hear this and I'm looking forward to going out there tomorrow.
Great. Nice.
I just would like to thank you guys for actually taking this in your hands and dealing with the problem that's been long-term and doing something about it. I would like to see the rates go down too, but I know you guys are working on that and I appreciate the no increase. I'm looking forward to see how this solar plant works out. So kudos to you guys for tackling this.
All right, thank you. Any other public comment? No. You can come comment all you want. Well, for 5 minutes.
Hi, Harry. There's a gentleman that works up at the yard. His name is Mark. What a great worker that guy is. I've been there twice. Everybody who brings the green waste, and apparently, because there's some awfully long branches that mom and pop, there's no way in hell that they could get those things there. So I don't know who's watching it, but anyway, there's hours of summer and winter. I guess we're in summer. They're still waiting to hear if they're in summer. This was last week. But he was there at 6:30 and opened up everything very nice. And there was no way I could use that green waste thing. No way. It was this high above the rim. It was crazy. And he said, normally what we do is we go get the backhoe and we just smash it down. And I said, oh, okay. So the next thing I know, here comes the backhoe and he smashed it all down so that it could still be utilized. Nobody told him to do that. It was just common sense, good business judgment. And I thanked him very much for the fact that he just took the time to do that. Nobody told him to do it. He just did it on his own. So anyway, Mark, you're a good guy. Keep it up.
Tie this back into the sewer rates.
Yeah.
Somehow.
I'll pass that on to Mark. What he means by summer hours is when it starts to get hot, 95 to 100, we let the staff come in at 6 instead of 7. So they're out at 2:30 instead of 3:30. So that's what he meant by summer hours or alternate hours. And I'll just remind everybody real quick that there is compost up there for your garden if you need some compost. It's 25-gallon buckets is what we try to ask people limit it to.
All right. Any other public comment? No, all good. All right, Larry, take it away.
I move that we have a 0% increase, which is our minimum, actually. We have to be between 0 and 3, so I move no increase at all. Thank you.
All right.
I'll second that.
Do I need to clean that up any? You good? All right, we have a motion and a second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, opposed, abstain? Excellent.
That was.
Trinity second.
And now all of you can get on Facebook and give us a huge shout out that you have.
Shout out.
That's right. Give us a shout out.
Huge amount of trust from the community when we said, hey, we were approving potential rate increases when we went through, you know, the formal process. And then we turned around and said, we're going to go spend all your money. And you guys didn't hold our feet to the fire, try to recall us. And that trust has, you know, incrementally started to pay off. Let's stay on a roll.
Agreed. All right, we'll move on to item 9, go to the order. Kim, you want to kick us off? Got anything?
Just one thing on the workshop for the Winterfest. We do have a date, very tentative, and we want to get everybody's approval since we haven't done this before. But the second Wednesday at 5 o'clock prior to 6 o'clock meeting is what we were thinking. But again, we want to get others' opinion on that, whether that's a good time or a bad time. So that's a starting point. And Now, others who have done workshops probably have some feedback on that, whether 1 hour prior to a meeting is good or not. It probably won't be the last workshop, so. That's all I have.
Well, my preference would be that it not be at 5 o'clock because you want your public involved. You need their help. You need to make sure that they can get here for that meeting if they want to. I think it needs to be later.
So why don't we try to keep it a light agenda and then do it after instead?
We should have the skate park on that agenda, I would imagine.
Yep.
And I don't know if that's gonna be called light. And then, and I don't know.
I can have a few things for the next agenda.
Yeah, so I don't think that next one would be light, would be my concern. Unfortunately. Yeah, I hesitate to say 5 o'clock because we want our public involved, you know, those that want to be involved, and that makes me concerned that they may not be able to get here in time.
Would it be obnoxious to say we host it on a different weeknight evening and we bring in pizza and say people can come in and that way they can show up with their children if they need to and we actually get participation? Would that be crazy?
I have no objection to that. Can we just make it after the 3rd?
I'm just trying to understand, is this a special meeting of the council or? Well, is it just Kim and Larry hosting it? It's gonna.
Have you guys work with the city manager so he can just he can email us and that way we can all nail down a date and whatever, you guys are hosting the workshop, so if you're, whatever you feel comfortable with is.
I know my preference again would be on a meeting night. I realize that 5 o'clock is kind of early for people, but once we start trying to figure out what other night would work, it starts to get difficult, I think. Maybe somebody has another idea, a Tuesday or a Monday or whatever. I mean,
You could do it a following Wednesday when there's no meeting.
that would work.
Yeah, my intent was to try to fill this room up for the meeting too, kind of.
So maybe if you guys want to coordinate offline with the city manager, if he needs input from anyone else, he can be the channel. That way we don't have any Brown Act violations. And maybe we do consider, if you're trying to fill the room, bring in some food to fill people's tummies and go from there.
Sounds good.
Maybe Thursday night is farmer's market night since people are downtown anyways.
It's not a bad idea.
That would be the 10th.
And there's food here.
Yeah, what about the 10th? Right.
Let's do the 10th.
We'll throw out a suggestion for that and then you guys can decide without everybody here deciding so that we're not doing a Brown Act violation. All right.
We'll just schedule it.
Perfect. You guys can pick a day.
The subcommittee can ask the city manager to.
Excellent. All right. Go to the order.
No.
Thank you. Trinity?
Nada.
I'm gonna remind the public that we do have a 4th of July decorating contest that the city is hosting, and that is for homes or businesses within the city limits. So decorate it up, make it exciting. Preferably, I know it's the 4th of July contest, but before the 3rd would be even better. You just need to call in to our city clerk, Amanda, and either call her or email her to get yourself registered for the contest. I know that there are several businesses that have already done that, I do believe, or got reminded to. None of them have? Only one. Well, I know I spoke to the Doggy Depot the other day because did she come down? Oh, fantastic. So yes, remind the public, we do have a decorating contest in the works. On the 26th, you have the Seroptimus Bunko. They do still have some seats available for a fundraiser. And also the 26th is the school giveaway that the Colfax Baptist Church does, which is always good when you get school supplies and backpacks and they bring out the popcorn and the cotton candy machine and the bounce house and all that stuff over there. Aside from that, y'all need to come down on the 3rd and spend money and keep the vendors happy so they keep coming back. There you go. That's it.
Great. I just want to say thanks again for all the hard work on the 3rd and putting everything together and meeting those fundraising goals. It's awesome, you guys. And thanks to everybody who donated. And I'll also be attending the PCWA board retreat tomorrow. And tomorrow night is the Placer Sheriff Fire Safe Council meeting here at 6 o'clock. And that's all I had. City manager.
The only other thing I have, council members, if you'll come by tomorrow, is Shanna's birthday and wish her happy birthday. That'd be great.
Awesome. Definitely. And is there any public comment on good of the order? No? All right. Then seeing none, we have no closed session tonight. You can adjourn. Thanks, everybody.